What's good, YouTube? In today's video, we got Gilbert Arenas responding to Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. If you missed what they said about Gilbert Arenas, let me highlight that clip again. I got it right here. Here's the video.
Gilbert Arenas is off his rocker. Gilbert Arenas doesn't know what he's talking about. Gilbert Arenas is proof that just because you are a great basketball player doesn't mean you know what you're talking about when it comes to NBA, especially at least the history of the game. First of all, Bill Laimbeer never made an all-defensive team.
Thank you.
So that's your example? He said the 80s players could not play with the guys in the 90s,
the
2000s, and today. Michael Jordan, Rob, dominated the 90s, but didn't win a championship in the 80s.
Go on and on.
Shaq dominated the late 90s and early 2000s, Rob. That 3-year stretch where the Lakers won 3 in a row, Shaq was as dominant as it gets, right?
Yep.
In 1995, Shaq got abused by Hakeem Olajuwon in the finals.
Right.
Now, Olajuwon, like Jordan, entered the league in 1984. Did he dominate the 80s? Never won a championship in the 80s. That is proof that the teams and the players in the 80s could play with the teams and the players in the 90s and the early 2000s.
He's affecting the game.
Draymond Green's a 6'6" center. You know, I mean, plays a lot of center in today's NBA. Could Draymond Green even dream about playing center back in the 80s
Not
and 90s
even close.
against Patrick Ewing, Olajuwon, Shaq, David Robinson, Alonzo?
He would be force-fed his lunch every game, Chris.
They would destroy him. I mean, come on, Gilbert. Do a little analysis, man. Don't be lazy.
He's packing, but he ain't packing no knowledge when it comes to the NBA.
Gilbert Arenas, man, you got to be smarter, bruh.
Okay, man, so as y'all can see, man, they was throwing out some disrespectful comments, trying to throw shade towards Gilbert Arenas. And y'all already know how Gilbert is, man. He's not one to shy away from responding to people and giving people what they ask for. So with that being said, man, Gilbert responded to Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. Let's highlight that clip right here. Here's a video.
Be sure to hit that like button for me if you haven't already. That helps this YouTube channel continue to grow. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with all of my current YouTube videos. Peace.
So a lot of people got in their feelings, took it personal. I don't think none more than Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. And they were in their feelings. Did you hear what they said, Gil?
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh, you did? You heard all of it?
Yeah, I got it translated for me.
Some transcriptions and all that good stuff?
Translated for me a little bit.
So what's your response to them saying that you don't understand basketball? Understand the game, I believe is what they said.
You know what's so funny? That's the same complaint we have about them, that they don't understand the game because they've never played it. Well, my knowledge for the game, I was actually being nice, right, by calling them drunks. I was being nice, but if we want to see my knowledge of the game, when it merged in, 76, the NBA had a really big problem with the booger sugar from the NBA, right? I was trying to spare, but since we want to talk about it, 70s, 80s basketball, the league was having a really bad image problem with the Tony Montana. That's what inspired the movie Scarface, because all the NBA players are just coked out. Like, I don't even know why we even playing this game. The whole 70s and 80s NBA league was just on drugs. They were just on drugs. Like, it was
performing though. I would say they were performing.
They should have. They was on that hard rock candy.
That cocaine
up and down. Like, I don't understand what we're talking about here. Because whenever they make an argument or try to make a point, they use the same 6 players. The same 6 players to make arguments. Okay, we're gonna take those 6. We're gonna move them. How about the other fucking 450 players that played in? You know the Knicks teams where they were throwing games for that drug. The Phillies teams where they were throwing games for the drug. That's the type of league that it was. They were literally throwing games for drug habits. And you're telling me that's the era that's supposed to be this golden shit? It's only golden because it was the merge. Then you had Magic and Bird being the face of the league at that point in time. And race wars going on. You had every black person, Spanish person on the West Coast rooting for Magic Johnson and the Lakers, because there was only fucking 2 TV channels. You're going to watch the Lakers or you're going to watch Boston. And then you had everybody over in Boston rooting for the legends.
So what do you say, because we're going to get into it a little bit. Normally we don't like to feed the trolls, but we were touched by it. We talked about it yesterday during our pre-production meeting. So MJ and Hakeem are part of the 80s generation.
Cap
Rooney? Cap? What kind of cap?
Okay, see, this is, so I can break it down. It's Chris, right?
Chris Broussard.
Which one called me Willis?
That was Rob Parker, I believe.
He's stuck in the 80s, as you can see.
First
Can
of
we
all,
change his name real quick to Willis so you can say, what you talking about, Willis?
Call him Willis. Yeah, that fucking show was like mid-80s.
Different strokes,
But
though.
you said, no, but
Hard to tell.
late 80s, right? It's fucking stuck out there. So this is how it works. All right, so we'll use the 80s. So 1980 to 1984, those are your decade players, right? You don't want to be drafted in 85 or 84, 85 or 85, 86, right? Those were called tweeners. That's your tweener years. Anybody after that, you might as well look to the new decade because the fact that 77, 78, 79 players, they go through your first 3 years. So basically in the NBA, it's going to take you about 3 years before you can actually get into your groove, right? So those 70, late 70 players, they're going to be priming as soon as the decade starts in the 80s. So they have 10 years of work they're going to do. You know, anybody 85, which is going to be Jordan, Hakeem, and Barkley. You have to come out the gates running, man. So even the great Jordan, he still don't make the first team decade, averaging 36 and all that, because he still only played 5 years. So he has 5 years worth of stats versus someone who played that decade for 10 years. So when you do the decade count, Jordan ranked 8th, Hakeem ranked 10th, Barkley didn't even rank in the top 10 because of that, because he started off the first 2 years. So those players after 84 going on, they're not going to be all decade players. So they will be priming in the following year. That's why Jordan is considered a 90s player.
Well, Jordan did win 4 of his 5 MVPs in the 90s. He did win one in the 80s.
He was a 90s player.
6 finals MVPs came in the 90s.
90s player.
His only defensive player of the year, though, came in
The
the
only
80s.
the only two people I've ever heard called him an 80s player was Chris and what was his name?
Rob Parker.
Call me Willis. Him. Yeah. Those are the only two people I've ever really heard him call Michael Jordan an 80s player.
So I guess the question, if you're saying the game has evolved, 80s can compete with 90s, 2000s, is 80s Jordan better than 90s Jordan?
Really? See, that's
Got to ask.
but that's what you
I'm the
do.
host.
Can the 80s Jordan beat the 90s Jordan? No. Can the 90s Jordan, can the 80s Hakeem beat the 90s Hakeem? No. So what they try to do is then say, Hakeem Olajuwon was whipping on Shaquille O'Neal. You mean Hakeem, the MVP the year before, beating on a third-year Shaq? That's just like Jokic, Embiid, Greek the Freak beating on Wiseman. Obviously. Yeah. That is fucking obviously. It's the arguments you're making don't even make sense. But again, you move those 6 players out. Tell us about the rest of those cocaine-ass heads. Now, you know what I mean? Let's not forget let's not forget what the 80s basketball was really about. Yeah. Like, let's really not, sugarcoat. I shouldn't have said sugar. I shouldn't have said sugar because it was all on that. You know what I mean?
Okay, man, so that is Gilbert Arenas' take on that situation. So as y'all can see, man, Gilbert Arenas, he's always going to be pro current NBA athletes. And, the old heads like Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, man, they always going to defend their era. And a lot of the old heads, they come for the current generation of players. They say this generation is soft. You got guys like J.J. Redick, who recently retired from the NBA, and he says otherwise, man. He's facing some backlash because him and Dominique Wilkins is going back and forth, and so yeah, man. So a lot of the guys are coming out, calling out current players. Charles Barkley just recently called out J.J. Redick for his comments, and these guys feel like you can't argue or debate with the older generation when it comes to how they feel about this current generation of basketball. So yeah, man, y'all get in the comment section down below. I would love to hear y'all thoughts on this. How do y'all feel about this topic? Do you agree more so with Gilbert Arenas that current gen players can smoke the older generation, or do you feel like Chris Broussard and Rob Parker is more so right that the older generation could definitely last in the new generation? So y'all get in the comment section down below. Love to hear y'all thoughts on this. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Self-Talk News. And while I have your attention already, y'all should go check out these other videos on my YouTube channel. That helps my page continue to grow. I appreciate you guys, man, and we out. Peace.
If you made it this far in the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment down below.